Let me ask you this. How much of your life do you really need to share with the world? Not as much as you think. In fact, most people share way too much. They tell everyone what they're doing, what they're about to do, how they're feeling, what they're struggling with, and everything in between. And guess what? It's costing them. It's costing them their focus, their peace of mind, and ultimately their success. You don't need to tell the world everything. And I'll tell you why, because privacy is power. This is something that wise people understand. They don't feel the need to broadcast every little detail. They understand that real power comes from keeping certain things to themselves and protecting the sanctity of their plans, struggles, and relationships. They keep things private so they can focus on what matters most, getting the work done and making progress without distractions. Listen, we're living in a time where privacy is becoming a rarity. Everything is out there for everyone to see. People post their every move online, where they go, who they're with, what they eat, even their most intimate thoughts. It's like they're living for others to judge. They're trying to get validation, attention, or some kind of approval from people who don't even care about them. But here's the thing. You don't need anyone's approval to live your life and pursue your goals. The real question is this. Why are you sharing so much? Why are you putting your plans, your struggles, your personal life on display for all the world to see? Is it for attention? Is it to gain followers? Is it because you think you have to prove something? Here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't owe anyone your story. And the sooner you realize this, the faster you'll start moving forward. There's a reason why the most successful people, the billionaires, the innovators, the self-made entrepreneurs don't talk about everything they're doing. They're not broadcasting their every move. They stay focused. They know exactly what they need to do to succeed. And they don't feel the need to tell anyone about it until they've already achieved it. They protect their plans like a fortress. They protect their dreams, their goals, and their strategies. They work in silence and let their results speak louder than words. And that's where the power lies, in keeping things to yourself. Now, I'm not saying you should be a hermit or shut yourself off from the world completely. No, not at all. I'm saying there are 3 key things that wise people keep to themselves. These are the things that give them the edge, the things that fuel their success. And when you start practicing this, you'll find yourself in a position of power. The problem is, so many people are too eager to share their every thought, every goal, every struggle. They think that if they share it with others, it'll somehow make them more accountable, more accepted. But in reality, all you're doing is giving away your energy and your focus. The more you share, the more you dilute your power. You're giving people the chance to criticize you, distract you, or worse, undermine your confidence. The truth is, you're going to be more successful when you stop sharing everything. You'll have a clearer focus, and you'll be able to put all your energy into what matters most, getting results. The people who talk too much are often the ones who achieve the least. They're so busy talking about what they're going to do, they never actually do it. But what about the people who keep quiet and focus on the work? They're the ones who build empires, change industries, and leave a lasting legacy. So let's get this straight. Privacy is not about hiding in fear. It's about protecting your progress. You don't need to let everyone into your life, your mind, or your heart. You need to keep some things to yourself, because in that silence lies your strength. Now, you might be wondering, what should you keep to yourself? What are the things that wise people know to protect? I'll tell you this. There are 3 key things that you absolutely must keep private if you want to succeed. And once you learn to keep these things to yourself, you'll notice a massive shift in how you approach life, business, and everything in between. But let's not rush this. Take a moment to let this sink in. Start realizing that not everything needs to be shared. Protect your power, protect your focus, and start building your future in silence. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why most people fail. They fail because they can't shut up. They fail because they're too busy talking about their plans, their dreams, and their struggles. If you want to succeed, you have to stop talking about it and start doing it. You've got to keep things to yourself and work in silence. Only then will you rise above the noise and make something real happen. The first thing wise people keep to themselves, their personal goals and ambitions. Let me be blunt with you. Wise people do not share their goals and ambitions with just anyone. They keep them close. They guard them like their most prized possessions. Why? Because they understand something that most people don't. Goals are sacred. They're not for public consumption. They're not for approval. They're for execution. And that's where you need to stop talking about your goals and start working on them. Far too many people talk about their dreams, their plans, and their big ideas before they've even taken a single step toward making them happen. It's easy to say, I want to do this, or I'm going to make that happen. But talk is cheap. Everyone talks about what they want to do. The question is, who is actually doing it? You see, when you share your goals with others, you're not only opening yourself up to judgment, you're also opening the door for distractions. Distractions will come from people who will doubt you, criticize you, and tell you why your goal won't work. And don't think they're all haters. No, sometimes these people are your friends, your family, but their doubts, their questions, and their opinions will only slow you down. They don't see your vision the way you do. And here's the kicker, you don't need their permission. Every time you announce a goal to the world, you're giving others a chance to weigh in. And those opinions can be a distraction. They can be a drain on your energy. And worse, they can make you second guess yourself. The last thing you need is for someone else to make you doubt your own ambition. The moment you start talking about it, you lose some of the fire that fuels you. The goal starts to feel less like your own and more like something you're trying to justify to others. Stop talking about your goals. Wise people understand this. They know that if they want to make their dreams a reality, they've got to keep those dreams in the dark until they're ready to be seen. They protect their goals from the world's judgment. They know that exposing them too early is dangerous because there's a law of nature that says if you tell too many people what you're doing, the energy you should be putting into the task gets split, and you end up with a dozen people's opinions, doubts, and suggestions. Your power gets divided. Here's the truth. Goals require energy and focus. And every time you speak about a goal, before you've started working on it, you give away a little of that energy. You're wasting it on telling people who may not even understand why it matters to you. You're wasting it on validation you don't need. Your goal is sacred and it needs to be protected. Let me ask you this. How many times have you told someone your big goal only for them to respond with a list of reasons why it might not work? Maybe they told you it's too risky, too difficult, too expensive. Or maybe they just said, oh, good luck with that. How many times have you shared your dream and had someone tell you it's impossible? That's why you need to keep it to yourself. The first thing wise people do when they set a goal is to keep it private. They don't talk about it until it's already done. They let their actions speak for them. You know why? Because actions never lie. When you put in the work and achieve your goal, you don't need to explain it to anyone. The results speak for themselves. Look, I know it's tempting to tell people what you're going to do. I know that feeling you want to share your excitement, you want people to cheer you on, you want them to see you as someone who's going places. But here's the problem. When you talk about it too much, it starts to feel like you've already done it. That's right, talking about your goal too much can trick your brain into thinking the work is done. It's like this. If you tell someone your goal and they say, wow, that's amazing, it feels like you've already achieved it, and that sense of accomplishment can take away the urgency you need to take action. Wise people don't fall into that trap. They understand that the more they talk about their goals, the less they're actually doing to achieve them. So they keep their mouths shut and their heads down. They get to work. They create the results. And when the results are there, they don't need to say a word. Their actions are louder than any speech they could give. And here's another point. When you start telling people about your goals, you open yourself up to distractions. People will ask you for advice. They'll tell you how they think you should do it. They'll give you opinions. And worst of all, they'll tell you why it won't work. And you know what? That doesn't matter. Your vision is yours, not theirs. Their doubts are their problems, not yours. Stop seeking validation from others. You don't need approval. You need action. Keep your goals to yourself and let your results show the world what you're capable of. When you achieve your goal, everyone will know. You won't have to say a word. The world will see it, and you won't have to explain how you did it because the proof will. The second thing wise people keep to themselves, their struggles and failures. Let me make this crystal clear. Wise people don't talk about their struggles or failures. They don't make a public spectacle of their pain, their hardships, or their setbacks. Why? Because they understand something that most people never grasp. Failure is a lesson, not a story. Failures are temporary. They don't define you. But talking about them endlessly, sharing them with everyone around you, that does define you. Now listen, I get it. Everyone faces struggles. Everyone has failed at something. But the difference between those who make it and those who don't is simple. The successful keep their failures to themselves. They don't drag their failures out into the light for others to scrutinize. They don't feel the need to broadcast every single bump in the road. They keep it private because they know that struggles don't need to be shared for them to learn from them. Here's what you need to understand. Failure is part of the process, but it's not the process itself. Failing doesn't make you a failure. How many people fail at something and then turn it into a conversation for the next week, or worse, the next month? You don't need to share that with the world. You don't need to broadcast every problem you encounter or tell the world how things are. Because let me tell you something, you're wasting precious time when you do that. When you're constantly talking about your failures and struggles, you're putting the focus on the wrong thing. You're focusing on what went wrong, not what you're doing right. And when you do that, you make failure bigger than it actually is. You make it seem like the obstacle is the goal. And that's a dangerous trap. Listen, failure is a teacher, not a trap. Every time something goes wrong, there's a lesson in it. But the lesson is for you, not for everyone else. If you want to succeed, you have to keep those lessons to yourself and use them to propel yourself forward. Don't get stuck talking about the failures. Don't let the world define you by them. Wise people don't let their failures become part of their identity. Here's the cold truth. You don't need anyone's sympathy. You don't need to explain every failure. You don't need to seek out comfort or understanding from others. What you need is action. That's the only thing that's going to move you from where you are to where you want to be. Too many people get stuck in their stories. They love to tell the world how hard things are, how many challenges they're facing, how many setbacks they've encountered. Stop. That's not helping you. It's only keeping you stuck. Talking about your struggles is just a way of complaining. Complaining won't get you anywhere. It'll just drain your energy. It will rob you of the focus you need to keep moving forward. Successful people, the ones who really make it, don't complain about their struggles. They use those struggles as fuel. They don't talk about what went wrong. They focus on what's next. They know that talking about failure is not going to bring them success. What brings success is getting back on track after every setback. What brings success is learning from failure and then getting back to work. So stop letting people know what went wrong. Don't wear your failures like badges of honor. Stop broadcasting every mistake you make. The world doesn't need to see you sweat. You don't need to show the world your cracks. Focus on fixing them and move forward. Think about the most successful people in history. Do you think they spent their time talking about their failures? Do you think Thomas Edison talked about how many times he failed before inventing the light bulb? Do you think Steve Jobs told people how many times he was knocked down? Number. They kept it to themselves, worked through it, and kept moving forward. That's how you win. You learn the lesson, adjust, and then you keep your struggles and failures to yourself. You don't need to tell everyone how hard it is. You don't need to explain your failures. You don't need anyone's permission to keep going. You need to focus on your goal, stay the course, and rise above it. Let's face it, we live in a world that celebrates failure. It seems like everyone is looking for a reason to point out how hard life is, how many times they've failed, or how many obstacles they've faced. But here's the thing. Failure doesn't define you unless you let it. You can make failure your story, or you can make it your lesson. The choice is yours. And wise people know that failure is not a public story. It's a private lesson. When you're struggling, when you're going through your hardest times, don't broadcast it. Take the lesson, move on, and get back to work. Get up, dust yourself off, and show the world what you can do. Don't waste time talking about how hard it is. Let your success be the answer, not your failure. Here's the bottom line. The more you talk about your struggles, the more you stay stuck in them. It's time to stop sharing the negative and start living in the positive. Focus on the next step, focus on the victory, and stop wasting time complaining. The world doesn't need to hear about your failures, it needs to see your success. Struggles are temporary. but success is permanent. Keep your failures to yourself. Use them as fuel to keep going. Don't let anyone see you break. And when you come out on top, you won't need to say a word. Your success will speak for itself. The third thing wise people keep to themselves, their relationships. Let's talk about something that most people don't understand: relationships. You see, wise people understand something crucial that many others miss. They keep their relationships private. They don't air their dirty laundry for the world to see. Why? Because relationships are not for public display. They are sacred. And the more you share about them, the more you risk damaging their true value. Think about it. How many people do you know who can't stop talking about their relationships? They tell everyone about their problems, their fights, their love, their heartbreak. It's like they're broadcasting every private moment. And what happens? The moment you make your relationship a public affair, it stops being sacred. It stops being something that only the two of you share, and it turns into a spectacle. And that's the last thing you want. Now, I want to hit you with this truth. Wise people understand the value of keeping things private. They don't need to put their personal life on display for approval. They don't need validation from anyone. They know that the strength of a relationship is built on privacy, trust, and respect, not on public opinions. The more you expose your relationship to the outside world, the more you open it up to judgment. And judgment, that will destroy it. When you share every little detail of your relationship with the world, you dilute its power. Relationships thrive on intimacy. They thrive on trust. When you involve other people, you bring outside influences into your life, people who don't know the whole story, people who don't understand the dynamics, and people who have no business commenting on it. And before you know it, your relationship is no longer just between you two. It's become a public affair, something for others to gossip about, something for others to judge. Listen, the more you tell people about your relationship, the more you open the door for their negativity, their opinions, and their criticisms. You don't need that. You don't need anyone telling you how to live, how to love, or how to resolve your issues. Wise people keep their relationships private because they understand that those outside voices only bring chaos and confusion. Here's something that will change the way you think about relationships. When you expose your relationship to the world, you let the world's opinions dictate the direction it takes. People will tell you what you're doing wrong, what you should be doing better, and whether or not you're making the right choices. They'll offer advice based on their own limited perspectives, and if you listen to them, you'll be pulled in 1,000 different directions. But that's not the way to build something real, something strong. The strongest relationships are the ones that are built on a shared vision and a sense of purpose, not on the opinions of others. If you allow others to shape your relationship, you give away your power. Wise people don't let anyone control their relationships. They know the key is privacy. They keep their struggles, their successes, their plans, all of it private. And here's the thing, people love to talk about their relationship problems. They tell everyone about their fights, their misunderstandings, and their frustrations. But when the dust settles, the problem is solved and you've moved on, guess what? Those same people will still remember the fight. They'll still be talking about the drama. They won't remember the reconciliation. They won't remember the love, the growth, or the resolution. They'll remember the mess. And that mess becomes part of the story people tell about you. That's not what you want. Now, I know there's pressure, especially in today's world. Social media makes it seem like everyone's personal life should be out there for public consumption. It's easy to feel like you need to share every moment, every feeling, every milestone. But let me tell you something, not everything needs to be shared. In fact, sharing too much can be detrimental. It can weaken your relationship. It can bring in unwanted advice. It can create drama. It can take away the intimacy and trust that should exist between two people. Here's the truth. Relationships require focus, care, and respect. And you can't give those things if you're constantly concerned with what everyone else thinks. You can't be focused on building something real if you're constantly distracted by other people's opinions. Wise people know that the only opinions that matter are the ones that come from the person they're in a relationship with. That's where the focus should be. That's where the energy should go. Stop seeking validation from the outside world. You don't need it. Your relationship doesn't need it. It's yours to protect. You don't owe anyone an explanation about how things are going. You don't need to tell the world your personal business. That's the power of privacy in relationships. Protect it, guard it, keep it sacred. When you protect your relationship, when you keep it private, you allow it to grow on its own terms. You allow it to flourish without the noise, without the interference, and without the judgment. And when you do that, you create something real, something powerful. You create a relationship that can stand the test of time. And when you're ready, when it's right, then you can share it with the world. But only after it's been built, only after it's strong enough to handle the outside noise. The truth is simple. Your relationship is not for the world to comment on. It's yours to protect, yours to nurture, and yours to build. Wise people know this. They don't air their dirty laundry. They don't put their personal life on display. They protect what matters most. They understand that relationships are at their best when they're kept private. Let me tell you something. Privacy is power. If you want to thrive in this chaotic world, if you want to build success, relationships, and a life that you can be proud of, you have to start keeping things to yourself. Stop sharing every detail. Stop feeling the need to broadcast your every move. The truth is, everything that matters to you should be protected, and you protect it by keeping it private. Far too many people out there think that the more they share, the more they'll be understood, the more they'll be validated. They're looking for approval, for attention, for someone to say good job or you're on the right track. But let me hit you with this losing game. Seeking validation and approval from others is one of the quickest ways to lose your focus, lose your energy, and lose your way. You don't need anyone's permission to succeed. You need to protect your goals, your relationships, and your vision from outside influences that want to tear you down, confuse you, or distract you. Now think about this for a second. How many times have you told people your plans, your goals, your dreams, and had them tear it apart? Maybe they didn't even mean to do it. Maybe it was just a passing comment, a slight remark. But those comments are like poison to your dreams. They dilute the power they make your dreams smaller, weaker. You don't need to let anyone's doubt or negativity invade your goals. If you want to succeed, you need to keep your goals to yourself until they're a reality. You need to protect that energy.